Hi there, today we're doing a shootout of Nick Heyward's North of a Miracle. Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time, and if it is your first time, don't forget to hit like, subscribe and tap the notification bell. It really does help the channel grow. Today we're diving into a head-to-head comparison between the brand new Demon Records all analog remaster of Nick Heyward's North of a Miracle and an original UK first pressing from 1983. This is one of those albums that's often overlooked when talking about post-Beatles British pop, but it's a gem. Lush, orchestrated and beautifully crafted. So, how does this new all analog cut stack up against the original? Let's find out. First, a brief background on the album. Released in October 1983, North of a Miracle was Nick Heyward's first solo album after leaving Haircut 100. It was produced by Geoff Emerick. Yes, that Geoff Emerick, the legendary Beatles engineer, and it shows. The album is rich with orchestrations, layered harmonies and an almost cinematic quality and sensibility. And just look at the players involved. This is session musician royalty. Pino Palladino plays fretless bass throughout the album. His signature tone is unmistakable and has a soulful, melodic foundation that lifts every track. His mark is indelibly printed on this record, and it's one of those subtle things that makes it so endlessly listenable. Also on board is guitarist Tim Rennick, known for his work with Al Stewart, Sutherland Brothers and Quiver, and later as a touring guitarist with Pink Floyd. His tasteful, understated playing brings just the right amount of texture and bite without overshadowing the arrangements. It didn't set the world on fire commercially, but critically, it's been consistently praised as one of the most refined British pop albums of the 1980s. Let's start with the original pressing. Pressed on Arista in the UK, this version already had a lot going for it. Great dynamics, natural EQ and a warm open soundstage. Emerick's production shines on vinyl. Those string arrangements don't feel crowded, the vocals are crisp but not overly bright, and the bass has just enough weight. However, it is an 80s pressing. That means thinner vinyl, which isn't necessarily a major issue, but there is occasional surface noise depending on condition and a bit of top end roll off in places. Still, if you find a good clean copy, it's a lovely listen. Next, we're on to the Demon Records remaster. Now, this edition has been cut from the original master tapes and pressed on 180 gram vinyl. The mastering was handled by Barry Grint at Air Mastering, a name that brings serious pedigree. The packaging is excellent. Replica artwork, poly-lined inner, a sturdy glossy jacket. It's clear Demon Records wanted to give this release the respect it deserves. And if you've heard their recent remaster of Penthouse and Pavement by Heaven 17, there's a video that I did about that, I'll link to below, you'll know that they're on a real hot streak at the moment. That release was superb, faithful to the original, great dynamics, and they even included the locked groove from the first pressing. Demon really pulled it out of the bag with that release, and they've done it again here. But onto the sound comparison, and here's where things start to get interesting. The new remaster is noticeably fuller in the low end, but not in a way that overwhelms the mix. It's not quite as bass forward as the original 1983 pressing. It has a slightly punchier, more immediate low end character. But on the Demon release, the bass is rounder, more refined, it sits beautifully in the mix. Full without being heavy, and gives the album a slightly warmer, more enveloping feel. The soundstage also feels a tad wider on the Demon release. You can hear more space between the instruments and a bit more air around the vocals and strings. It's subtle but effective, almost like the album has been given more room to breathe. The strings and acoustic guitars have more sparkle, and Heyward's vocals sit forward with added intimacy. There's a touch more depth to the overall sound, almost like someone lifted a film off the original recording. That said, some might prefer the slightly leaner, more direct-to-tape feel of the original. The 1983 pressing has a certain immediacy and character that the remaster smooths out just a little bit. It's the difference between a well-preserved photograph and a carefully restored painting. Both beautiful, but one is raw and the other one more refined. Now, onto the song highlights and the standouts, in my opinion. Before we go to the verdict, let's talk about the songs themselves, because this album isn't just beautifully produced, it's also packed with great songwriting. Whistle Down the Wind is, to me, a bona fide 80s classic. Lyrically evocative and melodically haunting, it perfectly blends wistful nostalgia and sweeping orchestration. There's something very British about it. Melancholy without being dreary, hopeful without being saccharine. On the 2024 remaster, the strings really shine here. They're more defined, with added depth that draws you further into the song's mood. And Heyward's vocal, so delicate and sincere, is given just the right amount of space. On a Sunday is another gem. It has that bounce and brightness you'd expect from someone fresh out of Haircut 100, but there's more sophistication here. The arrangement is tight, the hook is irresistible, and the chorus lands like a sunshine breaking through grey skies. On the new pressing, this track really benefits from the added clarity and presence, especially in the rhythm section. The drums snap, the piano is beautifully rendered, and the layered backing vocals are silky smooth. Another standout for me is The Day It Rained Forever. It's one of the most emotionally resonant tracks on the album, achingly melodic, lyrically poetic, and absolutely drenched in atmosphere. There's a quiet drama to it that slowly builds thanks to the sweeping strings and Palladino's fluid bass playing. It's the kind of song you don't just listen to, you inhabit it. Other highlights include Atlantic Monday with its cinematic sweep and Blue Hat for a Blue Day, a soft pop ballad that still holds up as one of Heyward's most affecting tracks. In short, North of a Miracle isn't just sonically rich, it's full of quietly brilliant songwriting. So, what's my verdict? If you already have a clean 1983 pressing, you're not missing out on much. It's still a wonderfully produced album with solid sonics. But if you want the definitive version with improved clarity and warmth and a slightly wider soundstage, a 2024 remaster by Demon is the one to get. The bass may not be quite as hard as the original, but it's beautifully balanced, full, musical, and right where it should be. Demon Records have done an excellent job of preserving the original soul of the record while subtly enhancing its presentation. Between this and their Penthouse and Pavement reissue, Demon are really building a reputation for quality, faithful vinyl remasters. And for an album as richly arranged and emotionally resonant as North of a Miracle, that makes all the difference to me. Let me know in the comments if you heard either version and what you think of this remaster. Is it worth the upgrade, or do you still prefer the charm of the original? Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into classic albums. See you next time. Cheers. Bye bye.